Welcome back to the Blockchain Brew. I'm your host, Trent. Today we're talking about Zcash. It crashed 20% in a day, in a matter of hours, because the development team and the founders all left. They resigned together. Is it time to DCA into Zcash, or is it time to find a new narrative? Let's dive into it. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and stay plugged in to the Blockchain Brew, the most hydrated crypto community on YouTube. Share my screen here and blow this up for you guys just a little bit. So, Lark Davis posted in his first post Zcash's entire core dev team just resigned. The Zcash token is down 20% on the news. Is this the end of the privacy meta? And let's hear from the Zcash Foundation itself and really dive into what they are saying. So, from the Zcash Foundation, it says in light of recent developments, Electric Coin Company, Zcash Foundation would like to reaffirm several key facts about the Zcash network and our enduring role in the ecosystem. And by the way, guys, stay tuned to the end of this because I'm gonna dig into the charts on Zcash, show you what Luxalgo is saying, and whether this is a good time to DCA. So, Electric Coin Company, which was the founding entity of Zcash, they all resigned. But the Zcash Foundation is clearing things up here, and they say Zcash is and always has been a decentralized open source protocol. No single contributor, team, or organization controls Zcash. In fact, Zcash was deliberately designed for resilience. Its code base is open source. Its consensus rules are enforced by independent node operators around the world, and a diverse set of organizations and contributors support its development. This structure ensures this structure ensures the changes within a single organization or across many of them, while meaningful, do not compromise the integrity or continuity of the Zcash blockchain. This continues to be true. The network continues to operate normally, blocks continue to be produced, and transactions continue to settle, and users' funds and privacy remain secure. So the Zcash Foundation is setting the record straight for you guys, and they're saying that even though the Electric Coin Company, even though the founding developers all resigned, that it remains true that no single organization, as meaningful as many of them might be, do not compromise the integrity or continuity of the Zcash blockchain. As a steward of the protocol, Zcash Foundation's mission is to serve the public good. Our work focuses on maintaining and supporting Zcash protocol development, funding independent research and engineering, supporting decentralization across infrastructure and governance, and advocating for privacy as a fundamental human right. These commitments remain unchanged. And so, you can find the rest of the thread yourself on Twitter. I want to jump into the charts because I know that's what we are really here for. But what you need to know before looking at the charts is that this is not a death sentence for Zcash. There are still developers. Um, the Zcash Foundation is not going anywhere, and development is not just going to leave the chain. Um, so this reminds me, of this might be a bad example, but it's a recent example when Sui had that hack on one of its foremost decentralized exchanges, and user funds were compromised. Sui dropped a good percentage in a day, and so did that particular Dex token. Well, if you had seen the writing on the wall and you had seen that there was a plan in place to refund users, et cetera, et cetera. Even if you may have had philosophical differences, which I did, even if philosophically you may have said, look, this shows that the protocol is not truly decentralized. If an entity can go back and and either undo this or you know uh I think the thing with SWE was that they were able to roll back some of those transactions or whatever it is that happened. It philosophically, it may not have held the decentralized ethic, but if you were able to see the writing on the wall and were able to say, look, what happened is not significant enough to override the narrative that SWE has going for it. That's the question you really have to ask about Zcash right now. Is anyone going to remember these developers resigning a year from now? Is this going to scare Grayscale away from their ETF? Is this going to scare Bitwise away from their ETF? Or are these institutions continuing to double down on the privacy narrative and continuing to push the privacy narrative? And are they scared away from Zcash at all? If the answer to all of those things are no, then this is probably a good time to start DCAing slowly into Zcash. And we'll go into the charts and break some of that down. So here we go. So here is Zcash on the daily chart. I'm gonna sip of my tea here. And what you're going to see on Lex Algo is that there is a daily buy signal right here. However, the trend catcher is red. So a confirmation of the buy signal requires the trend catcher to turn green. Now, you also have these trend lines that Lex Algo conveniently draws for you. And on this downturn here, on this 20% drop on the news of the dev resignations, you saw Zcash wick underneath this descending line of resistance here, or this this descending line of support actually. And now this upper line that I move here is acting as resistance. So you saw Zcash wick under that and close the daily candle above it. And now we are looking at Zcash attempting to make another daily close. I will say, even though this is an adage that does not always play out, clearly because you have things like tweezer bottoms and bullish divergences where wicks actually mark the bottom. But you also have an old adage that basically says what once got wicked will get candlesticked. So this wick right here could actually get filled in by a candle body. That is something to look out for. I'm not convinced that the downturn on Zcash is over necessarily. However, you're at support right now. So what do we say? Long at support with a tight stop, right? And short at resistance with a tight stop. So, you could, until we lose this trend, you could bet on a bounce off of support to target back up to this level. Now, failing to break that level would constitute a double top there, and failing to make a higher high. So that's not good. We'd have to see what happens from there. So far, the market structure has a high, a low, a lower high. And so you have to be on the lookout at this point for a lower low. And the top of this bullish reversal cloud on Lux Algo comes in right here at $274. That would be a significant move down. And the thing is, let me erase that last line. With daily stochastic RSI as low as it is, you could expect something like this. Here we've come down to support, and you could expect a move back up to resistance potentially before ultimately putting in that lower low. Okay, so it could play out something like that. Now we go to the weekly. Let me erase all my drawings. And on the weekly chart, we have been underneath a sell signal for Lux Algo here. We've wicked down to the first take profit level. We've actually taken out, both of them. So once you've done that, it is not a bad time to slowly at first, because the reality is that we can go lower here. We are below the trend catcher. So, any moves before that, you have to ask yourself on the weekly, what are we more likely to do? Are we more likely to take out this low before we take out this high, right? And the answer to that, given the fact that this was such a steep uptrend right here, the angle of the uptrend matters. Like it's all math, guys. The angle of that uptrend matters, and given that was such a steep uptrend, it makes you wonder if we've cooled off enough, especially if Bitcoin is going to go into the 70s. Now, we have had a 50% drop already from all-time highs. And so that's why I think that right now, on the fear of the news, it's not a bad time to DCA into Zcash. Grayscale is, Bitwise is. So what are you going to do? Now, I would go in slowly at first, but weekly stochastic RSI is low. We can definitely go lower though. Again, I think that taking out this low before this high is plausible. We're underneath a weekly sell signal. We're below the trend catcher. Trend catcher could turn red, and stochastic RSI could it actually looks like it's crossed down here already, bearishly, and could come revisit this level. So don't go all into any buy on Zcash or any spot purchase or any long position. But it's not a bad time to scale, in my opinion. Because you're buying the fear, because you're doing the opposite of those that are panic selling right now. The oscillator matrix down here on Lux Algo does have a bearish cross on the hyperwave. And so again, things can go lower, but it is not a bad time to scale, in my opinion. It seems like you would be doing what the smart money is doing. So drop your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, stay hydrated. And thanks for tuning in to another video. It was Blockchain Brew. Cheers.